Girl just says, I think I just got saved.
You never really can measure that full impact, you know.
Everybody says there's no hope. That's a lie.
Mhm. Hey, how can we do more for the kids? How can we give more to the kids? And all right, I'm here today with Eric. He is the director of the Fellowship of Christian Athletes for the Red River chapter. And this is the Near Me podcast. I am Chad Bates, and I'm the founder. And today I just want to let everyone introduce to Eric and also get to know him and what the FCA is. And for those who don't know, you after you watch this video, you'll have a clear understanding of what they do, what he does, what his role is with the organization. And Eric, thank you for coming and joining us today, having a conversation.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you having me, man. Looking forward to this conversation. And, man, just appreciate your business and what you do in the community, man. It's pretty awesome to watch and see from a distance. I mean, I still remember when you first started.
Yeah, yeah. A little caveat, kind of funny, is we actually put a roof on Eric's previous home, not his new home. It doesn't need a roof yet.
Yeah. And we're praying it never needs one, So 30-year shingle, Chad. Come on.
There you go. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But I've gotten to know Eric over the last couple of years. A few years back, he asked me and my wife to be on the board of the FCA for the local chapter, and it's been a fun. We're on there with some other husband and wives couples, and there's a bunch of different characters on that board, right? We have younger, we got some older, some that are retired, and but it's kind of funny when we get together. We all have fun, and we can joke with each other and nobody gets offended. And the thing I like about it is, we all have our strengths and things that we do to help out. And it's like, sometimes we can be there, sometimes we can't. Nobody cares. Like, it's kind of like a family that everybody understands everybody. So that's what I really like about it. But got to know Eric and his wife Angie very well, and really enjoyed the time. And then just seeing the impact of everything that he does. And we at Near Me Roofing are a sponsor of the FCA, and it's just something that I have a heart for. And you're getting in contact with young people that otherwise you wouldn't be able to. And so I guess leading into that, as far as your journey into the FCA, how did you get to this position you are, and then what led you to become the director?
Yeah, so I've been in ministry for 27 years full time. I was a youth pastor 10 years. Then Angie and I moved to Rockwall, Texas, planted a church. And I tell people we birthed that church and we buried the same church. And sometimes you feel like a failure, but man, God just has this big plan for us. And sometimes just getting on the journey with Him, it's crazy where He'll take you. And so while I was in the whole church plant process, sitting in an office it just drove me insane. And I kept reflecting back, like, what was it about student ministry, why I loved it so much instead of being a pastor? There's nothing against people being pastors. It was just, for me, I just didn't feel like I could do this week in and week out and prepping sermons and being quote unquote stuck in an office. And what I realized, and I felt like the Lord showed me, is that with FCA, or while I was in student ministry, I was in the schools all the time. I was hardly in the office. I was only there to get things I needed to get done, but then I was always out of the four walls. And I had spoke for FCA before, had spent some time in the school with them, with their huddles and different things. And I was like, man, this is a cool job. And my staff says this is the best job ever, is what they always say. Yeah. They like the free gear, is what they like.
Yeah, yeah.
But man, I called a guy, and even as we were transitioning out of student ministry to go to the church plant, I interviewed with FCA locally. And I just said to myself, I actually told my wife, I was like, I don't want to be a full-time fundraiser. I don't want to be this professional fundraiser. And so we went planted the church, and 5 years later, I called him. The same position was available, and I interviewed, and the rest is history. 14 years later, here we are, and God's just blessed us. It started out with just me, and then it moved into my wife. She obviously has been the admin the whole time, but then she finally got to come on. Paid staff is doing that, even though she was doing it for free. You know how it is. You understand? Jessica does that for you, right?
Yeah.
Do you pay her by chance?
Yeah, she gets paid.
Okay.
She gets paid pretty well.
Yeah, Jessica, we're trying to get you a raise here, right?
Yeah.
But Angie came on staff. She's part-time. She's a nurse, full-time, that does this part-time. And then we started adding staff. And actually tomorrow we got 2 more interviews. We're looking to add 2 more staff. And so, man, it's just, I never dreamed it'd be where it's at. And, man, we're just following God and what his direction is. And so I love it. I love being on campus. Being a director is great because you hire staff and you get to build it. But at the same time, man, I love being in a coach's office. Spoke to 2 teams yesterday. Like, there's just nothing like that. Like, that's the heart of what we do. It's being with kids and coaches.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that, to kind of lead off of that, because this is something I just thought about, is like, for those who don't know what the FCA is, obviously, Fellowship Christian Athletes,
Yep.
Most people you talk to have had some, chapter or something at their school or somebody leading it. But is this just nationwide, right, in the U.S., or is it?
It's worldwide.
It's worldwide.
It's worldwide.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're in, last I heard, like 180 countries, and it looks different across the world than it does in the U.S. Most countries, like, we have to raise our own support being a missionary. So, like, you guys are donors of ours. You used the word sponsor a while ago, so same difference. But around the world, it works more like a grant. Like, they have to get grants and stuff like that through us or whatever. So they can't raise like we do. It's just a different culture. And but it's still FCA. I mean, wherever there's sports and Jesus is being shared, man, you got FCA. So, and in my opinion, it doesn't matter what letters you put on it, as long as Jesus is being shared. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I feel like with the organization and what you guys do, I think about sports because I grew up playing sports and I've had kids in sports, and I think about, a lot of these kids aren't going to church on Sundays because they're playing all weekend, stuff like that. So a lot of times, that may be the only time they even hear about, Jesus or God or Christ, and what he's done for them on the cross and those type of things. And it's their first time a lot of times when they hear it, and it's just a huge thing because there's not many ministries where you can actually go into the schools and become part of the sports organizations, and you get to go in the locker rooms and lead prayers and pray for the athletes and stuff like that. And not just normal pastors can have that access all the time as easily, and so I think it's really huge because you're touching a group of kids that, like I said, otherwise may not hear it because, like I said, they're athletes and they're, not going to church on Wednesday nights because they just got to practice, or they're playing tournaments all weekend and those things. So I think that's one thing the FCA does, is it reaches, a group of kids that you may not be able to reach otherwise. Like, touching on that with today's young athletes, like what changes have you seen in them, and like what areas are they needing the most encouragement when you're out there talking to them?
The family structure is more broken now than it ever has been.
Yeah.
And so a lot of schools that we go into, I'll talk collectively as a staff, I see it on a personal level as well, as far as one-on-one with kids, like just the family structure is non-existent. I'm speaking at a school on Friday night, and they're doing a lock-in for these kids, and I promise you they're going to get more food, probably more rest in a locker room or in a gym or a weight room, wherever they're going to be laying their head that night at the school than probably they do at home.
Yeah.
There's one community I go to, like, kids are living on a dirt floor. You hear stories. I mean, people don't believe me because they're so outlandish, but it's real world stuff that's happening right here in East Texas and South Arkansas.
Mm-hmm.
You've got hey, where's your mom and dad? I don't know. I hadn't seen them in 6 months. The last time they told me they were going to South Carolina or they were going to California, and they're raising themselves.
Mm-hmm.
This is a real thing that's happening within our community, within this area. And man, that's probably the hardest part. And then on the other end of it is social media, man. It's just, golly, it's taken over. And so we're creating this facade. And now I'm performing for social media. I'm not even performing for my coach, if you will. And so, man, when we go into those situations, and it's hard for a kid that's never had a dad in their life to understand what a heavenly father is. Like, the father I know doesn't even exist. They're not even here. Like, how am I supposed to trust somebody? First off, I don't even know what that looks like. Second, and everybody I've trusted, it's broken. And then you want me to trust a heavenly father I can't see. Like, it's this whole, man, the power of the Holy Spirit in those situations is pretty amazing. And just the weight that they see off their shoulders, and it's really cool. So, man, kids just, they're resilient. And I'm just thankful for coaches that can be that father figure on the male side, and even on the girl side, the father figure, but then the mom that like, hey, they've never been loved at this level and been provided for. And we see kids that will actually, they'll play a sport just so they have a meal.
Yeah.
You know, we've talked about that offline. Just, I mean, they're going to play athletics and they're going to go to summer workouts because they're going to know that when I'm done, coach is going to give me a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. We had a speaker, I don't know if you remember, 2 years ago, for Fields of Faith, was Jason Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
And Jason talks about, I mean, he was raised in impoverished, home, and just a lot of things going on in his home that you can only imagine. He said, I remember chocolate milk day. Because he said, I knew that we were going to be working out and we were going to get chocolate milk at the end of the day. He said, my brother and I got out of bed and could not wait to get through the workout because I knew I was getting chocolate. Like, it was different that day.
Yeah.
And he said, I did not understand what hunger pains were until I got to college. He said, I just thought that's how you're supposed to feel. I mean,
just normal.
Normal.
Yeah.
Like, and so that we see that a lot in our area. And of course, my boys know, my two sons, and my wife knows, like, I'll buy a kid a meal like that. I mean, that's just kind of my thing. Like, I want to make sure that felt need is met, because I tell people all the time, we may get into this later, but I tell people all the time, if their felt need isn't met, they could care less about the Jesus you share.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we want to do is help out as much as we can.
Right. Yeah. I mean, most people don't want to hear what you guys say until, you're actually meeting the needs for them, because that's how you can lead in Christ and talk about Jesus. And it's, you don't just come and say it to them, hey, I see you have a need, but have a good day. It's just not how it works, and you can't touch people like that until they know you care. And
you can't just be a token. You know what I mean? Like, I see a lot of people, they just want to come out, hey man, can I bring whatever it is during summer workouts, and then you never see them again. Those are great. Like, those aren't bad things. I just wish we would do more. Like, do more than popsicles.
Mm-hmm.
Like, beyond the popsicle, have the conversation, have the relationship, show back up without the token, and be available for relationship. I think, man, if we'll do more of that, man, we can reach these kids a lot more effective.
Yeah, because today, like, talking about what you were just referring to with social media, it's like these kids are more connected than ever, but so disconnected with, being able to communicate with people, like, pick up the phone and call. Like, a lot of kids don't even want to. It's just uncomfortable, like, to even talk on the phone because they're messaging or Snapchatting or whatever it is, and so it's just the community. Even though they're so connected, like, a lot of them don't know how to communicate, and they store all those problems inside, and it's, they have to trust somebody to be able to tell them what's going on in their life. And I feel like the FCA creates an opportunity for that. Not just you, but the staff and the volunteers and everything, and like the Fields of Faith. And so, as far as like what you do, we know what you basically do day to day, but what are all the events that you put on every year? I know what they are, but could you explain all of them from January to December.
Yeah. So instead of doing January, let's do school year, if that's
Yeah.
cool with you.
Yeah.
So we're coming into the school year. September's coming up. So one thing we started doing we launched it, backed into it. That's a whole other story we could talk about, but we do a training during a school day for 4 hours, and we train these kids how to reach their campus for Jesus. And we'll have somewhere in our training here in Texarkana, we'll have somewhere around 300 kids and 80 to 100 coaches. We'll do 4 hours. So the first 2 hours they're split. So those coaches, we pour into them leadership stuff. We got John Copta coming, and he's going to do some leadership sessions with them. For those first 2 hours, we'll give them lunch as well. And then those guys that are not huddle leaders, if you will, on their campus, they go in and leave. And then we're training the kids. We're teaching them how to share their testimony in a 5-minute segment, in a 2-minute segment, and in 30 seconds. And so whatever the environment is, if they've got 5 minutes, they can elaborate a little bit more, but sometimes just 30 seconds is all they had to share. And so I had a friend in high school that I was sitting in senior English class. His twin brother, I graduated with 3 sets of twins. So I guess that's why I like you so much, since you're a twin, right?
Yeah, twins, yeah.
So, but I graduated with 3 sets of twins, and his brother had been to an event at a church that used to call it the Love Crusade, and he gave his heart to Christ. And this twin asked me, he goes, "Hey, he got saved last night. What does that mean?"
Mm-hmm.
And I literally, looking back, I had 30 seconds, and I wasn't trained in the way that I felt like I should have been, ready in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
And then the teacher started class, and I never went back and followed up on that question. And 2 years out of high school, he was killed. And so it really has bothered me.
Mm-hmm.
And I just said I refuse to not be able to answer that question again. And I don't want kids to be able to not answer that question.
Yeah.
So we do this not for just this reason, but we do this thing so that they're in an element, like if it's the right moment comes, that they can share Christ in that moment through their testimony.
Yeah.
So we do that as part of the training, and then they get a plan for the rest of the semester on what FCA is going to be on the campus, what it looks like from a team perspective or on a campus huddle perspective. So that's one event we do. We do 2 of those a year, one in the fall and one in the winter for the spring semester. Because fall and spring semester is 2 different dynamics with sports. Everything spring's chaotic. I mean, kids are scattered everywhere. It's crazy. There actually are more miles driven on buses in the spring than in the fall.
Oh.
People think football only. Well, if you look at the number of sports, there's more miles driven in the spring than in the fall. And then we do 6 Fields of Faiths. I'm in charge of 5 of those, and then Alan is directly in charge of the one in Magnolia, Arkansas. He and I split the one in Monticello. We do it together. So we do 6 of those. We're probably adding a 7th one next year. Had a conversation yesterday, bringing one back in El Dorado. But our schedule this year starts September 23rd. It goes every Wednesday for 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll start in Paris. Then we go to Texarkana, which is at Pleasant Grove. We'll be in Mount Vernon, Queen City, which is Cass County. And then we go Monticello and Magnolia. And last year we had 16,000 kids that we got to share the gospel with through all of those events. We're expecting, hopefully, we break 20,000 this year. It's not about a number; it's about the one.
Yeah.
And I told somebody yesterday, if we're doing this thing right, our numbers should start trending down because we're reaching the community. Mm-hmm. Those numbers should change if we get them into a discipleship relationship as follow-up. Those numbers should change. Mm-hmm. So we do that in the fall. We do a gun raffle, 12 Days of Christmas.
Yeah.
On social media, we call it different, just the 12 Days of Christmas gun giveaway. And so that's a big hit. People love that. And then we come into the spring and we start working on our Senior Showdown, which is an all-star event, Arkansas versus Texas. It's a lot of fun. That event's a lot of fun.
It is.
And so we football, baseball, basketball, softball, cheer, and then we're adding band this next year. We tried to do it this year, got into it late, so we're starting early, and we're hoping to have a full-blown band at the football game this year and have a college atmosphere. So one winter event I missed is we do a big powerlifting meet, which you and Jessica worked for several years. Mm-hmm. Had to cancel it this last year
The
because
snowstorm.
yeah, the ice storm
The
came
only
in.
time we get a snowstorm,
Yes.
it happens to be
Yes.
the days we're doing the
Yeah.
liftoff.
So it's
Yeah.
put a hole in the budget, and so but we've been
Mhm.
able to recoup a little bit of that, and so make it through this year. It's been, I mean, just trusting God every step of the way. But now we're going to be able to bring that back in January. So we've already set a date, so we're looking forward to it. So
Yeah,
those are what we
because
do.
and speaking on, you mentioned the word budget, like
Yeah.
uh, obviously there's a fund and all the donations and all the money you raise and everything goes there and all that money goes back into the local schools and
Yeah.
organizations, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So we use it for, of course, we have to pay salaries and all of those things, but
Mm-hmm.
we're giving Bibles to kids. That costs money. There's a couple of teams that we're going to feed this year. That costs money.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the type things that cost money. I mean, fuel cost is through the roof, so you've got all of that, and you've got just ministry expenses. I mean, we do camp scholarships when kids get to go to camp in the summertime. We're constantly trying to find some needs that are within the school that that we can help out with, and then all of the events that we do. We're not just raising money, but there's expenses. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all know it, but there's an inflation thing, and so we give away all these T-shirts, but they're free to people, but we've had to raise the money
Yeah.
to get those, and so spend a lot of money on T-shirts. Let's just say that for bills and faith. So, but we gladly do that to market that, but it takes money to do that, and so man, just anybody wants to jump on board, man, we'd love to have them because we need it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean any donation or money you can give or even your time,
Yeah.
even donating your because
100%. Yeah.
like the Fields of Faith. Local churches have a lot of volunteering. I know Christian Warriors Church is
Yep.
one. I mean, they have them loaded out over there every year, and the money is good, but you can't do without all the people that are serving you. There's no way you could do it. 'Cause if you had to pay people to do that, like there would go your whole budget. So I think all the volunteers and then us on the board, and we try to help out. We can't be at all the events, but we try to help out.
Mm-hmm.
Assist any way we can, but every time there's an event, I just think about your position and role, and I'm just like, man, there's a lot that goes into this just from me running a business. I mean, essentially, it is a business what you do. I mean, you got costs. You got to get money, you got to raise money. Like it's not free. We don't live in a world where you go out in the money tree and grab money.
Yeah.
Like, so it is like a business, and you have budgets, and money goes into account. You have to manage it well, or if you didn't manage it well, you wouldn't have no money to put on the next event. So it's kind
Or
of
then you have an event that gets canceled.
Yeah.
Then you're able to weather that storm, if you will. And so, I mean, you just got to be smart with it. I mean, you just got to have working capital just like everybody else. And so that's the way it is. You're
I
right.
think the gun raffle, I think it was a year before, so it's 2 years that we've done it now. And
Have you won one yet?
haven't won one.
Okay.
But I know that those tickets are pretty easy to sell. Everybody wants a chance at a gun. And but yeah, I hadn't won one yet. I'm like, my time's coming.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
But
Maybe you put Jessica's name on it. Maybe it'll win. And I don't know. Just kidding.
I guess I could buy more, and my chances would be greater.
Y'all heard it here first. He's going to buy more this year.
Yeah. I guess I could.
Yeah.
And so the Fields of Faith, huge event that you put on, and with we used to call it the All-Star Senior Showdown now, but what made you come up with that idea for that? Because it's like an Arkansas versus Texas, and really you can only do that where we're at, like because we're right on the state line, and you have connections in both states. And so where did that idea come from?
So when I first got hired, a guy named Wade Hopkins hired me. He lives in Houston, but he played for the Oilers, has a history of, he's really fast. He's still fast at his age. But he was telling me about this event that was in Abilene. He's like, if you knew Wade, it's hilarious because he's like, Eric, you go out there, it's like the Olympics, man. The Olympics, there's kids everywhere, they're competing. And I'm like, what? And so I start questioning more, and so I find out who's over it. Because my deal is, if somebody tell me about it, I want to talk to I'm just one of those guys. I want to talk to the guy that's over it. I want to know the vision. I want to know how you thought this, what's your thought process. So I ended up meeting with Coach Keenum, and you probably have heard the Keenum name. His son is Case, plays in the NFL, and man, just a great family. And so I actually had Coach come down, talk to our board at the time, and we just could not like financially weather that if something went either direction. And we were at a golf tournament. We used to do a golf tournament. I don't know if you remember those days or not.
No, that was before I was helping. Yeah.
Yeah, so we did a golf tournament, and I think 2019 might have been our last one. 18, 19 might have been our last one. Called the FCA Cup. We did coaches in it. It was a good event. We just hear everybody else is doing golf tournaments. It's like garage sales. Everybody had one. So I was kind of like, man, I really don't like. I'm not liking this golf tournament. It's okay. I really think we can do something that directly connects with kids. And that's what I chose to do. And I was like, man, how can we reach more kids with doing this thing? And so I went to a couple of donors and I said, hey, here's my vision. I've talked to the guy. I know it's what it's going to cost us. What do you think? And man, those same guys that were given to the golf tournament wrote checks that were 5 times more in order to help us get this thing off the ground. And so we said, hey, let's get the best athletes from our area that we can. Everybody wants to go Division I. Listen, Division I kids cannot play in ours because they're already off at college. But you're going to get Division II and quote down. I tell anybody that makes it to the next level, that's the next level. Whether you're JUCO, D1, D2, D3, NAI, whatever level you are, that's the next level. And so we get those kids, man. We take them from Texas and Arkansas. They're nominated by their coach. We select all-star coaches, if you will, for the Senior Showdown. And then they draft the kids that they want from their respective state. And man, it just took off. And so we had to cancel because of COVID year. We were just going to do football. And then the next year we went all in and did all sports. And it has been nothing but just rave reviews. The coolest thing about it is we've got one more chance to reach those seniors before they go to college. A lot of them are going to play sports. Some of them are going to community college. Some of them are going to trade schools. Some of them are going directly into the workforce. Whatever their next step is, we want Christ to be in the middle of that. And that's the reason we do it. That's number one. But we also get to model what FCA can look like within a program, no matter what sport it is within a program. So what we're hearing from coaches is we have coaches now calling us, hey, if you ever need somebody, that's how they say it, I would love to coach you. Because what they're hearing is it's been called a coach's revival. Here they are out there sweating, they're pouring, they're just, it's work, if you will. But there's something different about it. Spirit of God's on it. We're showing them what it looks like to stop a practice and share your testimony, to have huddle meetings from football specific with your position group, with baseball and softball to divide up into small groups and have time with a coach and you just share your testimony. You talk about the word, like you have these conversations and that create the question so that you have the answer. And man, coaches are walking away like transformed. One particular story I'll tell you, we had, and he doesn't mind me telling this, he's at Hooks. Coach Hike, he and his wife have been reassigned out of baseball and softball. And they weren't going to come and coach in the game. They were embarrassed. They almost called me and they said, no, let's just go do it. And in the coaches meeting, I made some statement about, I hope today you discover your why. And that's really what we want. The coaches will rediscover their why they got into coaching. And on their way home after the game, driving home, and tears were rolling down their face, or his wife's face, and she said, we've been put sports as our God, our jobs. And they reorganized some priorities in their life and got back in church. They both have been baptized. I think it's this year. Both of their kids have been, or one of their kids have just baptized now.
That's awesome.
Tony started leading FCA at the junior high where he was, quote, reassigned to. And he said he chose to not get bitter, but chose to get better. And man, that's just a lesson for all of us. Because bitterness focuses on us, betterness focuses on everyone else.
It does.
And he chose to do that. And now that huddle has over 100 kids coming to it, because he could have easily been bitter and just been this, I'm the junior high coach, I'm better than this. Is he probably a better coach? Absolutely. But he chose to bloom where he's planted, pour into kids, turn that junior high program around. They got over 100 kids coming. He was telling me that when they first started, they were doing like, we teach them like to do announcements and then a game and then a speaker and then you wrap it up. He said we had to let go of the game because all of these kids want to get small groups.
Yeah.
So fast. Like, it's just revolutionized everything they do. So that's just one story that we're hearing from this thing, that God is just, transforming kids' lives and coaches' lives. Because we know this, kids leave, coaches stay. Yeah. And we're just pouring it in. I'm in a group text right now with football coaches. We're all reminding each other, hey, man, in the grind, stay in the Word. In the grind, put God first. Because Matthew 6:33 says, seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things be added to you. Whatever we put first in our life is God in our life. So if you put near me roofing is first, it becomes God. If you put your marriage first, that's God. We have got to, as believers, we got to put God first. If he's first, then he's first. Whatever's first becomes God in our life. And these coaches are realizing, I can't make sport as God in my life.
Yeah, because it's natural, especially if you're competitive and
Yeah.
you get so focused on winning, And the same way in business, so you get so focused on winning and the grind and all that, and then next thing you know, you look up and you're like, well, I didn't go to church, or I didn't read my word this morning, or I overslept, or I worked too late last night and I just didn't have the energy. And so yeah, you get in that grind, and then especially with coaches, it becomes about winning, because that's what these schools want them to do, and so they make winning their god, because that's what they're trying to do. And now, some of them have better hands that they are dealt, obviously, with certain athletes and, facilities and everything, to where it makes winning a little bit easier. But it is easy for a coach, because that's what the focus is. And that's what, especially a lot of coaches, they're bouncing around school to school. So, like, they got to, especially if it's a newer coach, like, they got to prove themselves. Like, they have to go out and, make a change in the whole athletic department, and get it turned around, because a lot of times they're picking up after a coach, and so I get the drive behind that, but that's a good word for them, is to like keep the main thing essentially.
Yeah, this year's we do a coaches dinner on Tuesday night before everybody gets there, for the kids to get there with the coach and the spouse. And Coach McLean shared, he's like, I view my walk with Christ like a workout. Like every morning I got to get up and I got to work out from a spiritual standpoint. And during the World Cup, I heard a commentator say, he said, winners will find solutions, losers will find excuses. Man, we're losing in our Christian walk. We're going to find an excuse. Well, I'm just too busy. Well, I just got this, or I've got that. But man, winners will find solutions. I got to readjust my timetable to make sure I've got time in the morning, what you're saying. I got time in the morning to spend time in the Word. And Coach McLean, that's what he's talking about. Like, man, my spiritual health is more important than my physical health. And the crazy part is, when you talk to people, is when their spiritual walk is right, it's amazing how healthy they become. Like, their emotional tank is filled up. They want to work out more, or they want to eat healthier, they want to, like, it's just because suddenly God's number one in my life. Like, I'm being led by him. There's a submission, there's power in submission to Christ. And man, and it all came through the All-Stars. That's all of that. Jack Norwood at Gurdon, that's called it a coach's revival. It's amazing. And there's a guy named Randy Harvey from Monticello. He's been our coach a couple of years on the Arkansas team and for football. And he comes every year. And I've watched Randy be the head coach. And I watched Randy be the logistics guy doing laundry. It didn't matter. He's just there to serve because Christ is number one in his life. And I mean, that's the guys I want to coach my kid and my grandkids.
Yeah, it's not about them.
Absolutely.
Position.
Yeah.
You know, hey, look at me. I'm the head coach. Yeah.
And I mean, I can just keep mentioning coaches' names. Those are examples, you know, of just guys that put kids first.
Well, you know, to go off what you're saying about the time, we had a meeting here yesterday, sales meeting, and I was talking about, hey, we're all getting the same 24 hours in a day. Like, you know, once you look at your phone activity and see how much time you spent on social media yesterday and how much, you know, it's our priorities really, because I mean there is time, but you find out how much time you waste every day if you really looked at that. And one thing I've started doing that is really helping me is like, because I got that home gym now, you know, and it's been a blessing because I can just walk out my back door, but while I'm working out, I'm reading the Bible in between my sets because I figured out, you know, how to kind of implement it into, you know, the movement, and I'm already up and going. It's like, how can I maximize my time? And you know, actually, I when I was working out at a local gym here, there used to be a gentleman that he would do that. He has Bible, and like in between his sets, he'd be reading it. That's where I kind of got the idea, and it's working well for me because it's just it's something that I can just kind of you know, I can do it in between, and I'm up and moving, and I'm walking around while I'm reading. It's just something that works for me that I just started doing recently. But yeah, you can find the time. It's just if you can always find time for everything that's priority in your life. And so, you know, when you say you don't have time, it's just you haven't made it a priority.
That's true.
You know,
that's true. First things first.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, that's the thing with you know, coaches, kids, and us, and running business, and even you're a busy guy. I mean, and you're a well-known guy in our area. So like, because you're always out networking and getting to know people, and because of your networking, you found new avenues as far as like people who donated to the FCA, who have donated equipment. I know one year when we had a liftoff, all this equipment company from, where were they from? Mississippi brought, I mean, a trailer full of, you know, I think 12 weight stacks or whatever, and you know, set it all up and everything. It was kind of nice because we didn't have to. The year before, we were stealing from all the, well, we weren't stealing them, but we were borrowing from the schools. You know, we were literally going to each school and having to like manually put them. It was a lot of work, so that was kind of nice, you know, when we had that lift off. But you know, that networking that you do, and you're always finding. Like you were just telling me, you found a new hat guy and that's from networking. And so, because going back off what you were saying about the t-shirts and the hats and all that stuff, I know you found a way to kind of offset the costs. Like you're ordering your own shirts, you're putting your own, like, so if you're wearing a FCA shirt or Fields of Faith shirt, it probably got pressed on by this guy here. So, you know, he's doing a lot of things to help make and facilitate all these, but there's a whole lot happening behind the scenes. He had to basically build a shop at his house to house all the stuff that he's got for all these events, and got a trailer, and had to upgrade his truck because he's going this trailer all the time. And so, you know, there's a lot of things that you do that a lot of people don't see. They see the events and everything, but, you know, you know, kudos to you, because every good event that there is in the FCA, any good event in general, there's always a leader behind it that's facilitating it, putting it together, getting volunteers. And, you know, that's not something that's easy, but no, it's easy to get a volunteer when you're changing kids' lives. It's easy to get buy-in because these people know that they're actually making an impact. What's a good story you have of a kid that was impacted by one of the events, whether it's the Fields of Faith or the Senior Showdown?
There was a girl, Pittsburgh. The Fields of Faith in Mount Vernon, we move it around between Mount Vernon, Pittsburgh, and Mount Pleasant. So we kind of bounced around. we were at Pittsburgh, and this girl, one of our staff, it was cold that night, number one, and one of our staff members was standing just waiting on kids to come out of the stands. If they wanted prayer, they give them the heart to Christ. We want to follow up with them. So these kids would come out of the stands, and we try to keep it guys with guys and ladies with ladies. And so she's standing there just kind of waiting, and this group of girls comes by, and she just, and she could tell they were trying to find their youth pastor. And one of the girls just like did a full turnaround and comes back to her. The girl's got short sleeves on, and this girl's story is she's just shaking. Just like she goes from being cold, but also nervous. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and she goes, hey, one of the things we tell our altar workers is, like, hey, smile, number one. But then ask them why they came down. Like, because not everybody that comes down wants to make a decision. They may need prayer. It goes back to maybe the only church they see, kind of that thing that you were talking about earlier. But the girl just says, I think I just got saved. I've never heard this before. And people that, and I don't mean this negatively, but people that are within the church think everybody's heard the gospel. They haven't.
Mm-hmm.
Especially in East Texas, they think that everybody's heard it. They haven't. This girl had never heard the gospel. And she responded that night, gave her heart to Christ. And just our staff member just asked her, like, what else can I pray with you about? She just felt a nudge. And this girl just broke. She said, every day I struggle with suicide.
Mm.
She said, my dad and my older sister took their own life. And I struggle with that.
Mm.
And just like, kind of struggle with that. So we were able to pray with her and get her help. And she got baptized in the church. And, and you just go, there's just sometimes you get tired in the events. You get tired in the quote, the grind, if you will. You just go, God, this is all for you. Everything we do is for him. It's a lot of work. And man, you hear those stories and you're like, that was worth all 6 of them. That was worth the late nights, getting in after midnight at some of our events. And then you're up early the next morning to be at a coach's Bible study. And it's just time of the year. It's just part of it. Mm-hmm. And eternity matters, man. Mm-hmm. I mean, eternity matters. It's not about that. We're not doing it for the right reasons. It's hard to get emotional. But
yeah.
It's real, man.
Nice,
like
man.
I'm watching kids that everybody says there's no hope. That's a lie. Mm-hmm. There's no hope because we're too focused on ourselves and we're not focused on the answer. Mm-hmm. There's hope for these kids. Mm-hmm. And that girl, I don't know. I really, in my heart, I really don't think she would still be with us if we didn't do Fields of Faith in Pittsburgh, Texas. Mm-hmm. And so, man, that's just one story. Yeah, we've had foreign exchange students come to know Christ. Like, I have a guy that works for a local business, actually a corporation. He's like, right there on that 30-yard line, man, is where she gave her heart to Christ, and she was living with him. I mean, we have and they go back and they share Christ with their family, and they're coming to know Christ. Or, hey, my mom and dad are Buddhist. I don't know if this is going to work out when I get home, and mom and dad come to know Christ. Like, yeah. What are the chances? Yeah, they come to this part of the United States, and they end up in a stadium event, and all of a sudden God changes their life. Like, it's just, I may be 80 still doing this thing, but we're going to keep doing it if a kid's coming to know Jesus.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's the thing. You never really can measure that full impact, You can't. It's not something to be measured because, I mean, what God does, you can't measure that, because that one kid, could go on to be a pastor later on in life and lead thousands and thousands of people to Christ. So you really don't know what the impact is. You just know you're making an impact. It's not always measurable, but it's those little stories. I know when we help put on those events and everything, and like the next day and the week following on the group text that we're in, you're sharing these stories of how people have been impacted. And like you said, it reminds you why you do something, why you do it. You know why you do it, but it's good to have that reminder. Because there was a couple of weeks ago, we had a guest pastor at church. I don't know if you were there that Sunday, but he talks about his whole sermon was we'd gotten used to it.
Yeah.
And, he was sharing a story how he was in like Bora Bora and he's from like uh, Pennsylvania, I think, something like that. And the guy, he was talking to a guy on the beach, pretty as sand, pretty water, and the guy was like, "Man, I'm gonna go to Pennsylvania." And he's like, "Dude, why would you want to go to Pennsylvania? Like, you live in this beautiful place,
Yeah.
whatever." But the guy had gotten used to it, and like with us, and I've been, guilty of this. It's like you go to church, and,
Yeah.
they always do a call at the end of service, and like you kind of get numb to it after a while because you just get so used to hearing it. And like you were talking about with churches, they think all these kids, everybody's heard the gospel, but it's just like we're used to hearing it because we go to church, and our kids are raised in church and those type of things, and so we just assume that everybody else has the same opportunity or experience, or that their parents had the same values to, all these things, and it's like we're just used to it. And so it just reminds me like you're doing these events every year, and it's like every time you get those new stories, it's like that reminder, hey, this is why I did it. I think that's huge, and I've seen it firsthand being on the board and just seeing all the events and hearing the stories, and like Fields of Faith, the one at Pleasant Grove last year, there was like 6,000 kids. I mean, it was insane. Because we do worship. Our local church, the worship team comes and do worship with that one, and man, it's just you have to be there. Like you're down on the field and you see all these kids, and they just don't come rolling out of the stands, and it blows your mind just to think of like the impact that it has. But those kids too, I believe, if you were at a church service and one or two people come forward, it's a lot harder to have courage, but when you if you ask God, you have to confess with your mouth, and then take some kind of action, some outward action to come down or come to the cross. So it's like a public, display of, hey, I've decided to commit myself to Christ. And when these kids are just rolling out of the stands by the hundreds, it's so much easier for that kid that you know maybe not as courageous to just jump on the line and come down, and then they get prayed for. So like I think that's something that a regular church service would never be able to replicate as what you can do at Filth of Faith. Now the movement of God can do anything, but
Sure.
in that atmosphere, in that circumstance, I think it just creates a little bit more courage in these young kids to come forward and accept Christ. And I think that's why that event works so well, and touches so many people, because it's not a normal event, and we've gotten so used to it growing up in church between the four walls and everything. But when, Jesus was doing, his whole ministry was out in the streets, it
Yeah.
was out away from it wasn't in the temple or the church house. Like it was away. Like he went and met people where they were at.
Mhm.
And I feel like with that event, you're meeting a lot of people where they're at. So,
Well, our speaker 2 years ago, Jason Jackson,
mhm.
gave his heart to Christ at our very first one.
Yeah, I remember that story.
You never know who's sitting in the stands. I mean, here's this kid from DeKalb, Texas, and now he's a social influencer with over 1 million followers on his
Mhm.
combined on all of his social medias, and doing stuff that's next level right now. And then, in relationship with people that a lot of us would probably long to have, if you will, but they're just people. They
Mhm.
all have the same problems. It's just money magnifies those problems.
Mhm.
But whatever's inside of you, money will magnify.
Mhm.
I can just tell you. But it's pretty cool. You never know who's sitting in the stands, and
Yeah.
so it's neat. It's neat.
Yeah, and I remember hearing him speak, and I mean, he gave a really good testimony, and I think the fact that he was from DeKalb,
Yeah, connector.
yeah, it's a connector for especially the young kids, and you look at somebody like that, and they're like, you know what, I might be from DeKalb, or I'm from Sims Bowie, or one of these smaller schools, and it's like, man, if he can go do that with his life, I can do it too,
100%.
So I think it just gives them, a little hope,
Yep.
especially if they're in a bad situation. But yeah, I mean, everything that you do and what I've seen, like, obviously getting to know you. Like I've seen you work, put in the work. I've seen your heart for it, and that's why I'm glad to support it. Just because I see the fruit of all the work that you're doing, and even like the staff, the people that you have on. You have some great people on the staff. And former coach,
Yeah.
coaches,
Coach is, yeah. Got
and
two of them now.
you got some younger, so you
Yeah.
kind of touch a little bit there. But like, you've had your staff meetings at our office a couple of times, and just seeing what y'all do and all the work that you put into it. That's what a lot of people don't see is like all the facilitating and the staff, and like I said, it's like a business, and you gotta make sure they're, hey, are you good?
Yeah.
Like, because
Yeah.
if you're not good, like, so you gotta make sure your staff's good, and they're where they're at. You can pray for them and help them, and so because you can't really, I've this is a spiritual thing, but you can't give people something you don't have. Like, like it's the overflow of the things that you have and that you're able to give. But it's like you have to spend, your staff has to spend time in the Word, and they have to pray for people, and they have to be good because it's going to be hard to give somebody else something they don't have. So that's from a leadership perspective, from where you're at. That's what a lot of people don't think about. I think about those kind of things because, like from a business and being a leader, you think about those things as well. But because if something's not right, you got somebody working for you. If it's not good at home, they're not going to be 100%. It's your business, and so it's like sometimes you have to set business aside and say, "Hey, man, your sales are down. Like, you good? Like, is home good? Like, what's going on?" And you can't miss the human aspect of, what we do every day because we're all human beings, and like what happens at work carries over to home, and what happens at home carries over to work. So, it all affects us. So what do you see, the next couple of years for the FCA Red River? What is it looking like now? I know this is another thing we hadn't talked about. You've done a lot of things here at this FCA and the Red River FCA that now a lot of these other across the United States they're looking at what you're doing and are like, hey, what he's doing over here is pretty huge. So like, as far as the next couple of years, do you feel like, where do you feel like you're going with the FCA, but how do you feel like it affects just the FCA as an organization?
Yeah. So first off, we're in a very unique pocket of the United States. Angie and I got to travel a little bit this summer in some slower seasons, and we were in some cities, and we're like, this ain't Texarkana, or this ain't East Texas, or this isn't Southern Arkansas. Like, this is different.
Mm-hmm.
So we're very thankful for leadership within schools around this area that open the doors, that trust. Trust is a huge thing. Where I see us headed is we're really establishing the school system, but for us, we want to be in the community sports, clubs, leagues, that kind of stuff. Whether we start a league or club, or we partner with a league or club from a spiritual standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
Got some things on the burner right now. I got a new staff person coming on that's working on. Of course, they have to raise their funds and do all those things. But Michael Henderson's coming on staff. He was a coach. He's going to do phenomenal. And one of our hearts is we want to get into that club and league environment.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love for us to have flag football for girls. I think that's kind of the thing we're talking about. It's in talks, trying to figure out what it would look like. I want to make sure we do it right. And that's the biggest thing. So I think in the next couple of years, you're going to see that. You're going to see continue what we do normally grow even more. And I think we're going to add more staff, more frequent.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is definitely what's going to happen. We just want to keep leading. If others are looking in, which is great, and they see what we do, we want to have influence on that. But I also want to help them understand that you've got to understand your culture. So it's like roofing business or any business.
Mm-hmm.
Certain cultures don't work in other cultures. So you've got to figure out the culture of the market that you're in, if you will, to use a business term. So what works in Dallas doesn't work in Texarkana. and vice versa. And so I'm just one of those with our staff. I'm a huge proponent of relationship equity. Relationship equity gets you so much further than just cold calling all the time. Keep showing. Tell our staff all the time, and that they can quote in their sleep. What's the number one thing Eric tells you? Keep showing up. Just keep showing up. At some point, the Holy Spirit's going to take over, and something's going to happen. That coach, that community, they're going to go through something, and they're going to need you. This is going to happen. So keep showing up. So the next 2 years, we're going to keep showing up, number one, and I'll see us growing into other arenas, if you will. One of my big visions that I have that just, and you know this, being on the board, I would love for us to have a facility that, like Alan, that's our director for Southeast Arkansas or Southwest Arkansas, does FCA boxing. It's phenomenal ministry that he's got going with. Some of them are at-risk kids, some of them are homeschool kids, gives them an outlet. At-risk kids, he's going to talk to the coaches like, hey, who are these kids that, man, they could be a good athlete. They just need somebody to pour into them, man. This dude's teaching them boxing, which is a discipline, and they got to do certain things in order to get in, but then also discipling those guys. They're having Bible studies with it. So it's not just a sport, but they're learning scripture with it, so there's discipleship happening. Man, I would love for us to have a facility called the FCA Fieldhouse where FCA boxing happens there. We have offices. We have conference rooms that businesses can come and rent. We have a facility where we can facilitate sports and meetings and trainings and all of those types of things. Like I've got this vision for that, for us to have that and eventually have sports fields and stuff like that. People can come to us and use them. You know, I think it'd be amazing. They get on our campus. Just another way to share the gospel, you know. And so I'm hoping in the next 2 years that we broke ground on something like that things like that would take off. Because, I mean, I'm telling you, like, the sky's the limit for sports. If you're talking about travel sports, FCA has done some research and has gone and interviewed at league or at club travel ball stuff. Like a volleyball tournament or a baseball tournament. And one of the questions they ask is, if you weren't at this tournament, got canceled for whatever reason, and it didn't make, where would you be? And over 80% of the people said we had been in another tournament. Church was never mentioned, but by less than 5%. And I'm not saying that's a problem, but that might be a problem. So we as the church can stand and gripe about that, which 100% agree. Like, we don't need to miss. I get it. Like, I'm not saying, hear me, if you're listening to this, like, I'm not saying that you should miss church to go do sport. What I'm saying is we can stand back and keep griping about it, or we can be part of the solution.
Do something about it, yeah.
So what if we provide a chapel service, not to help people clear their guilty conscience, but to provide something for them, provide a devotional, watch somebody come to know Christ. Like, I've done those things. I can't tell you how many parents come up going, thank you. Like, we needed this. Man, I was hoping they would do something like this. I mean, they've had me come out and do stuff at the regional tournaments here used to be Dixie, it's Diamond Baseball now or something like that. But like just those types of things. And so we're wanting to get into that world more and really spend time just developing those relationships and see where it goes.
Yeah, I know that's a huge opportunity, because even with us, it's like, our daughter playing travel volleyball. We either go to Dallas, Shreveport, Monroe, Little Rock. So there's not really, all the tournaments are played away. So of course you're missing church service, because they do full play on Saturdays, and then the real tournament play starts on Sunday. And you know, I think it's 5 or 6 tournaments. So there's 5 or 6 weekends like we're not going to church. And if there was something like that, I feel like a lot of people would come to it, especially like in Texarkana, because we have, they redid the baseball fields, soccer fields, and they've even seen an uptick in revenue since they've redone that stuff as far as tournaments and everything. And I feel like it would be a huge thing for the city as well to have, like you said, you could do volleyball and basketball tournaments and all those things. It could be an FCA building, but that's not why the people are coming. You're opening the doors for them to use your facilities, but it's an opportunity to reach those people. So I think that's a great idea, and
And we don't want
so
to be the ones that staff to always do it.
yeah,
I would love to empower
yeah,
guys like you and other
yeah,
people. Like, hey, why don't we call a
help.
tournament? Let's get something set up, and we start training people how to do that. And call it FCA, like it's volunteer organization. Let's make that thing happen. So,
Well, let's talk about that.
So Chad's going to lead
Yeah.
the next volleyball tournament.
Yeah. Hey, I love it.
Yes.
I can watch volleyball all day. I really, if they're good. Now, they're not as hard to watch, but now most of the girls, when you get up to my daughter's age, 16, 17,
Absolutely.
18,
It's good volleyball.
yeah, it's fun to watch.
Yeah.
And most of these girls are pretty good, and so I really, it's back and forth, and I love it.
But think about this. Sports is going to end.
Mm-hmm.
You said I played sports in high school.
Oh, yeah.
But it ended at some point.
It does.
I was a high jumper in high school, played church league softball, but it ended. Like your body said, you are done.
Yeah.
It's over. So when that's over and your identity is built in that, no, we got a problem. When we build our identity on Christ and that's over, are we going to be sad? Absolutely. But it's not my be all end all because Christ is number one. What's God in my life? What's first in my life is God in my life. So, and that's kind of why we want to get in that world. So.
Yeah. Well, I guess to kind of finish this, the conversation out.
Sure.
If the people that are watching this, and we'll try to put your link in there too.
Sure.
Like, what's your biggest need right now? Like, how can parents or coaches or businesses in the community get involved? I mean, obviously, we can share the link to maybe where they can donate or give, but I guess, and also how they can come get contact with you to help out. But what's your biggest need? Is it
our biggest need is sponsorship?
so financial need?
Yeah, financial need is always the biggest. I mean, it's more money, more ministry, more money. It's a revolving door. I mean, it's just part of what we do. That's just part of it.
It is.
And so our biggest need is sponsorship for all 6 fields of faiths. And we can make that happen wherever it's at, whatever market you're in. I could send you that sponsorship information and you can say, hey, we're in on doing this or whatever.
Everybody that sponsors gets on the t-shirt. So like for Texarkana, there's 2,500 t-shirts this year going out. For all of the others, there's 500 to 1,000 t-shirts going out. So we can get your logo on the back of that from a business perspective. And then we're always looking for people to join us on a monthly basis. So like you guys do. And maybe that's something like you're like, I'd rather give monthly so it's not such a big lump sum up front. So $100 a month is $1,200 a year. Obviously, it's simple math. But I can't tell you how far that goes. And man, you're not giving, you're investing. And I really mean that. Yeah. Like you're investing in kids that need Jesus. You're investing in a staff that's going to be very diligent to make sure that we are doing everything we can. I tell our staff all the time, there's 3 things you need to be doing every day. You need to be in a coach's office every day, whether by phone call, text, or personal visit. Like you've got to be on campuses every day, contacting coaches. I mean, I was up early this morning. We had not just coaches, superintendents, principals, and I'm texting those guys. School started. Hey, prayed for you this morning. Prayed specifically for you this morning. Early morning. And you wouldn't believe how many are up early. But we got to be involved in that. And so, man, your money isn't just sitting somewhere. Like, it's active. And I can't tell you how good of a ministry I've been involved in a lot. I think it's the best ministry on planet Earth to where the results are happening almost instantaneously. Like, the proof is there. And so those are the 2 areas that we need people in. And man, we can always use prayer. But I'm asking you to not just pray. I'm asking people to give, like to be a part of what we're doing.
Partner with us. If you're not sure, come with Fields of Faith. Be an altar worker, and I promise you, when that kid comes down with tears in their eyes, and then you're trying not to cry, and you're trying to smile, and you're praying with them, like you're gonna get the bug. It's going to affect you. So.
Oh, it is, and I can tell you firsthand that the money, it stays here locally. It gets invested back in the kids, and he's not just doing the same thing every year. He's he's always adding to it. Hey, how can we do more for the kids? How can we give more to the kids? And so the money is, it's used well, it's managed well. I've seen it firsthand. We've seen the budgets, we've seen the bank accounts. So he's not trying to hide nothing.
Exactly.
If you asked him, he'd show you.
I will.
But
100%.
it's funny you say that. Like, donating monthly is good, and sometimes, like, if you're listening to this, you heard about the Senior Showdown. You're like, I really like that. I'd really just donate. They can donate to whatever they want to.
Yeah.
Right?
So we've got sponsorship levels for the 3 big events that we do a year.
Mm-hmm.
Fields of Faith, which we'll say that's one event, 6 and 1. Powerlifting meet, or the All-Star Game, the Senior Showdown. Those 3 big events are just our 3 things that we do throughout the year. And so you can go monthly, or you do events, or however you want to do it. Once again, every household is a culture. Whatever fits your culture, man, that's what we're willing to fit that. So
yeah. And I'll finish this off with I seen this it was in a book I was reading, and the guy basically he was trying to get someone to give to something, and they was just like, man, I just really don't have a heart for it. He said, I tell you what, he said, write me a check. He said, then you'll have a heart for it, because
1,000%.
where your money goes, your heart goes also.
It does.
So that's something I'll leave you with. It's like, you may not feel like it may not something you feel like you need, but like when you write a check to it and then you see the impact, that's when you're really, then you're going to say, okay, there's good fruit here. I'm going to keep giving to this. So I've seen it, and you're doing great things. I'm extremely proud of you.
Thank you, man.
And I'm glad to be a part of it. It's something that has affected us personally as well. Just being able to help out, see these kids, and with our young kids, being able to bring them to the events and getting them the help, and all that. It's impacted us. So I really appreciate everything you're doing, and I know God's got a great call in your life. So thanks for having a conversation with us, and we'll leave a link for you. Anybody that's watching, if they want to give, and even if you don't have money to give, but you got time, I'm sure he would take any spot, as far as volunteers. So anyhow, thank you again, Eric. Appreciate it.
Appreciate you having me on, and man, thank you for what you guys do in your investment in the kingdom.
Yeah, no problem. Thank y'all for watching.